If I had to summarize what Project Downfall is all about, I'd say John Wick meets Doom meets Hotline Miami, and it does not disappoint. Today I'm breaking down what Project Downfall is all about, and this video is thanks to publishers RedDeerGames, who did sponsor this video. My name's Alex, this is SwitchCorner, and if you enjoy it, subscribe, it helps out the channel a huge amount. So regarding the story, it's some wild stuff, and I'd say you can take your own meaning from it, but for me, imagine being an everyday worker in a dystopian future. You're basically grinding away for corporate giants who don't seem to give much back to these people, but it's also not like we're unhappy about it. We actually seem pretty content. Now that though probably has something to do with the drugs they're clearly using to keep everyone in line, but then honestly, the game just goes crazy from here and it spirals out of control. Before you know it, you're having deep conversations with your subconscious, you're deciding to take on a crime in the streets by yourself, and you're uncovering more than a few personal issues. Basically, it gets dark, but there's this incredibly dark sense of humor running through it all as well. It's also a game, honestly, that's going to reward you for exploration, as you do get these different opportunities between missions, and yeah, in these areas there's more than a few extra details that kind of build out a picture of this world. The gameplay then, as mentioned earlier, is a unique blend of John Wick, Doom and Hotline Miami, with the John Wick influence primarily visible in the visual design, especially our character's portrait in the upper left of the screen. This portrait as well will quickly become bruised and battered, serving as a visual representation of your health. Now the core of the gameplay then draws from Doom and Hotline Miami, offering an intense first-person shooter experience where death is just a few hits away. So all of this wouldn't matter if the controls aren't good, and they are straightforward and effective. Now at a high level, we can move, sprint, slide, which will be essential, shoot, throw items, and take the drugs which give us super strength and bullet time. This drug-induced rage is particularly satisfying, as kicking at enemies or objects turns them into lethal projectiles. This is just the beginning as well. Regarding drugs, we can unlock additional modifiers to leverage on this adventure. What I do want to be very clear about today though is this is not run and gun action. This is all about strategy, and that's where the similarities to Hotline Miami come into play. These are small locations and your goal is simple: clear them out. Really though, the challenge, you're going to start every level with no weapons, your enemies are constantly getting stronger and stronger, and just a couple of hits will mean it's game over. Yes, that means you do start the entire level again, but it kicks you back in very quickly, and realistically, once you figure out a level, the majority of them actually only take a few minutes. It's worth knowing as well, as I said in the story, you can kind of explore between missions, you can talk to locals, you can uncover secrets, but what really impressed me in these moments was, should you want to, you can just still basically kill everyone. It is a game that leaves that decision up to you, so the idea of freedom in this game is very much at the forefront. This also extends into the missions as well, where you will get to choose where or what you do next. The game's basically clearly got a lot to uncover, and I've obviously missed a lot in that single playthrough, and that's reflected in the fact it features 12 endings in total. Now I want to talk firepower, and while ammo is limited, there's plenty of melee weapons and guns flying around, and they feel incredibly heavy. They are actually very satisfying to use. Think from knives to bats to pistols to machine guns. It's not just pointing and shooting, but working out how you can leverage them in different ways. Maybe you'll shoot exploding barrels, maybe you'll just basically chuck them at your enemy's face. It really is a comprehensive selection that you can get very creative with at the same time. Also, one of my favorite features is it's kind of a simple thing, but if you're using the same weapon as your foe and you catch their gun midair when you take them down, you can actually dual wield. It makes you feel like an absolute badass. That's especially true as well if you combine it with the multiple skills like sliding and medicating all through it. Style is very important in this game as well, because every level it wraps up with a scoreboard, and this awards you a rank and tells you how you did. Bonus points for this part of the game as well. They made Nutshot a special shot, and that definitely deserved a mention. Now we must discuss options, and there's a huge amount in here. First, the big question for many, No, it does not feature gyro controls. I'm not sure, given the speed of the action, however, that they would be particularly useful. Onto the good news though, this is loaded with different bits, hints that can appear on screen, difficulty options, settings to modify which weapon is switched to next on a clip emptying. You can carry 3 weapons at any one time. The camera shakes, there's dead zone manipulation, pickup assist, and honestly the list just goes on and on. It's great to see such extensive options on offer. You can also then even heavily modify the UI, which I think is a good one for those that maybe want to make things even more difficult, because this starts to hide whether you're getting combos or how your health meter is looking. Visually then, it's really unique. The characters are a throwback to that older Doom era with flat designs which rotate as you move around them, but the world they are in, it is 3D. I think the visuals work really well here, given that ongoing theme of different drug trips. It just makes sense that the world is almost recognizable as being human but completely over the top. It very much feels like you're on some sort of acid trip. What's particularly satisfying though are the hit and death animations, true to the paper thin style. Bullet holes just appear everywhere, and you're going to be seeing body parts fall away as blood sprays everywhere. Now, I guess I should have probably pointed this out at the beginning, but if it wasn't clear already, this game is for sure adults only. The same can be said then of the locations as well, the drug dens, red light districts. If you can imagine it as being part of, let's say a crime underbelly of a city, they've probably done something with it here and packed it full of just visual humor and gags. A favorite location of mine was actually one of the peaceful ones as well, but that's your apartment. It features through the game frequently, just kind of acts as the calm between the storm, but you'll find here your girlfriend and kind of a representation of what a normal day looks like in this world, away from all the mass murder, and it definitely goes a long way to kind of, building up your character. Finally, for visuals, once again, let's talk options, because this is important. There is a selection of camera effects which are really nice touch, but there's also scan lines. Now, I have the preset on, which I do like personally. I think the minor scan lines just add to the atmosphere, but you can go way more aggressive or turn them off entirely, which when I look online, I'm seeing a lot of people do that. For me, that slight noise on the screen just adds to the grittiness of the world, and I can see why they opted to make it the default for the release. Audio finally then, and I like what they've done here as well. It's got this blend of almost modern sounding synths, and it's very heavy with the music, but then there's still some old school sounding effects like the screams of enemies. They kind of come with this dash of distortion and echo. The world also packs ambience with each location, mixing things up, and while there's no dialogue, they definitely add some personality with these different effects. So that's Project Downfall, and I've been excited about this one for a while, and now the reason was it dropped on Steam some time back and it's had a whole lot of positive feedback over there, and when I heard it was picked up for a Switch release, I reached out to Red Deer immediately. Now it is here, it doesn't disappoint, this is definitely a great port. Once again though, look, it of course comes with a warning, not the adult content, but rather it's incredibly difficult, and it's supposed to be, but that's where you need to go in with the right mindset. This is not a first-person shooter in the traditional sense. This is a strategy game. Clear out locations, figure out how to get high scores, and deal some deadly blows along the way. I'd actually argue, transparently, with the right mindset, I didn't think anyone could get through this one, but you would definitely need some patience. What I like though is once you've completed a level or a whole run, that strategy element, there's this little part of your brain that says, well, you can do better than that, let's jump in again. It makes it incredibly addictive. So will you be checking out Project Downfall? Let us know in the comments. With that, once again, thanks to RedDeerGames for sponsoring this video. It is always appreciated. And if you enjoyed it, subscribe. It helps out the channel a huge amount. Thanks everyone.